This is CBC Here and Now.
This is Canning Bridge. For decades, an important link between the north and south sides of Marystown. But right now, it's restricted to pedestrians and cyclists only. That story coming up.
My heart is just full of joy and happiness.
This is a big milestone for our community.
A new care home for Innu elders. Ahead on Here and Now, we take you inside the Heart Haven, decades in the making. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Our top story tonight, friends of a former child soldier fear he died this week during an encounter with police. 38-year-old Omar Mohammed suffered from mental illness and had a history with the RNC. Friends say they haven't seen him in a week and they're frustrated by a lack of information. Here and Now's Ariana Kelland reports.
Omar Mohammed came to Canada in 2014 after a life of war and violence. Mohammed was recruited into the Sudanese army around the age of 13 and fought with them until 2007 when he left the army and joined the revolution. He later fled and found refuge at a camp in Ghana. Mohammed stayed there for 3 years before being designated as a refugee by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. He settled in St. John's and soon struggled with mental health issues. Court documents filed in 2016 say Mohammed told doctors that he'd rather die by cop than be in the Waterford Hospital. Adam Baker is also a former soldier from Sudan, now living in Newfoundland. He hasn't seen his friend in about a week and is certain he's dead.
He fled the country because of the war and he died here.
Members of the Sudanese community here say they have tried to confirm his death with police, but they haven't gotten any answers.
So he kept his life limited. He's doing recycling, dependable man. It's just sad, very good man. Even if he has $1, he give it to you.
A witness says Mohammed was at the recycling depot near the spot where the shooting happened just 15 minutes before. He collected his money, then left in the direction of the Employment Services Office. Mohammed has a criminal record for assaulting a police officer, possessing a dangerous weapon, and sexual assault. The Telegram reported that Mohammed pulled a knife on 2 officers in 2020. Meanwhile, the RNC is not commenting, citing an ongoing investigation by the independent police watchdog CERT. CERT Director Michael King said Tuesday that he had not been able to contact the deceased next of kin and would not be releasing details until that happened. Ariana Kelland, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a police investigation continued on Hussey Drive today, where it's alleged that 2 St. John's men abused minors. Those men are facing a long list of charges. Here and Now's Mark Quinn has this update, but first a warning. Some may find the subject matter of this story disturbing.
There was a lot of police activity outside this home on Hussey Drive today, where a forensics team is hard at work, looking for evidence of horrible crimes. Officers were also here at a second home further down the road in the trailer community near Steffanger Drive. The 2 properties were secured yesterday after the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary released a statement saying area residents can expect a police presence over the coming weeks. The 2 men charged with offenses related to sexual violence appeared in court in April. 62-year-old Tony Humby and 80-year-old Bruce Eskett are facing 19 charges, including luring and sexual exploitation. The charges stem from incidents police say happened between 2007 and 2021. The 2 men are still in custody, and police say it's possible that more charges are coming. The first charges were laid after someone told police last November about sexual violence that reportedly happened in 2019. Sources told CBC that the 2 men were known to take in youths who had no place to go. No one in the neighborhood wanted to speak on camera, but one neighbor said one of the men was friendly and helpful. Another said he sometimes heard shouting and cursing coming from this house, and he avoided its residents. Humby and Eskett are scheduled to appear in court again on July 13th. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Marystown is divided. A landmark bridge that spans Southwest Arm Inlet is shut down. The critical link between the north and south sides of Marystown has been closed to traffic for months. Here Now's Terry Roberts tells us a story of how people get around town without the Canning Bridge.
Edgar Williams hasn't done this in decades. A shiny new bike, a new way to get around Marystown.
Feels good when you get on and get used to it again.
This is Canning Bridge, all 120 meters of it, built 66 years ago. Most people live on the south side. Most businesses and services are on the north side. This bridge is the connection. It's also a key part of the town's water system. Before its construction, people used boats to cross the inlet, so the bridge made life very convenient for those traveling back and forth, especially if you lived in communities further along the South Shore, places like Little Bay and Beaubois. But the passage of time hasn't been kind to the steel and concrete on this span. It's crumbling, shaky, and according to an assessment by engineers, it's no longer safe to drive on. So in February, the barricades went up, and for residents, the inconvenience began.
To go to Sobeys for groceries, that's a 20-kilometer trip return. So there was not even one before. So we are really careful about our driving, saving gas.
Well, I live in Little Bay, and normally it takes me about 70 minutes to get to work, and now it takes us like 22 or probably around 22,
20,
I guess.
25 minutes now.
Yeah.
Planners knew what they were doing when they selected a site for Canning Bridge. But now that it's closed, motorists have to travel what they call the Loop, west to Creston North, over the causeway, and into the commercial heart of Marystown. More time in your vehicle, more expense, especially if you travel by taxi. Fortunately, the bridge remains accessible to walkers and cyclists, and when the weather is fine, they're hoofing or pedaling across, and most are understanding.
I'd rather be safe. I'd rather do this than have to worry about any time you're on the bridge in the car. But overall, I don't mind it. Just hopefully it gets done sooner than better.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's frustrating, but I guess I got no other choice and I accept it.
It's frustrating, but I understand liability and the safety of the bridge. But it got to be done anyway.
People have no choice but to accept the interruption. This bridge is a provincial responsibility. The government is working on a solution. Studies are underway. Money has been earmarked, but a replacement is at least 3 years away.
It's just a phenomenal impact to the whole region, and especially the residents of Marystown.
The bridge closure is the #1 topic in town. The mayor is asking for patience.
The bridge, the good old girl, she's in hard shape, and I'd rather be here talking about a closure than a catastrophe. It's a bad impact on the whole peninsula and Marystown especially, but right now we better be prepared that it's going to be the next 3 years for sure before we can get across here again at minimum.
For now, there's more physical activity in Marystown. The Canning Crossers have the bridge all to themselves, and it will be like this until it comes down and is replaced by a modern span. So this walk across the inlet will go on for years. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Marystown.
Well, just taking a live look out there across parts of the province, or parts of the island anyway. Wet in St. Anthony. We've got a nice break of some cloud cover, I should say, for Whitburn across the Avalon today, and looking like a lovely evening right now as well in the Port Peninsula. So we are not so lovely here in St. John's. This is a live look again outside the Narrows, and we're back to the fog. Temperatures are currently sitting at 6 degrees, zero visibility, and those winds out of the southeast around 24 kilometers per hour. So we've got an area of low pressure spinning, lots of showers. Even if I zoom in a little bit, I'm sure many of you today heard some rumbles of thunder, but we do have some of these cells moving through that are producing some lightning, and that risk will continue as we head through the next couple of hours. Some showers up along northern portions, or sorry, I should say the northern peninsula and then the west coast as well. So if these showers do move through, they will be heavy, briefly heavy, but the risk of thunderstorms pretty much extends to Green Bay, White Bay, through to Central and then east to the Avalon. So we'll see that over the next couple of hours that will move through. And then we're actually looking at the potential for some clearing for some of us as we head through the day tomorrow. I'll get into that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, one food bank coordinator on the West Coast says there will always be a need for food banks in this province. The Food Bank Network in Corner Brook and the Bay of Islands held a food drive last night, collecting all of this plus some monetary donations. The Spring Food Drive is an annual event. This haul will last about a month. Joy Connors says the demand for food is rising, with 10 new families looking for meals each month. She says recommendations from Food First NL earlier this week to eliminate food charities and increase overall income may never work in this province.
I think there will always be a food bank. I think there's always going to be a need. There's going to be loopholes somewhere, and there's always going to be a need for food banks across the country even. With the cost of living now, with the high cost of groceries, especially increase in groceries, the home heating, gas, housing, if people's income is not increasing with that, they're having a big challenge trying to put food on the table.
3 men are in the running to be the next leader of the province's Progressive Conservative Party. The party officially closed nominations late this afternoon. Former party president Eugene Manning and MHA's Lloyd Parrott and Tony Wakeham will run for the job. The next PC leader will be announced in October. Well, the multi-billion-dollar Atlantic Loop energy project is in the works across eastern Canada, but it's not clear if Newfoundland and Labrador has a stake in it. Ottawa is planning to give Nova Scotia and New Brunswick $4.5 billion for the project. It would see Muskrat Falls power sent to the Maritimes. Government said this afternoon that energy talks are still ongoing, but didn't say if they were about the Atlantic Loop. The official opposition pointed out earlier today that nobody seems to know where this province stands on the deal.
Is there a royalty regime? Is there a new plan on the transmission lines? What would that mean? Is it part and parcel of developing Gull Island? Is that on the table as part of the process? Are we going to move some of the power from Muskrat Falls to Churchill Falls so it can be through another link? Is it possible to move any of it through the Maritime link? There's a multitude of unknowns here that this province hasn't been discussing. My understanding is things like that are being discussed in the other provinces, but it's our asset. We should be front and center at this.
Canadian Blood Services is putting out a call for donors. It's already anticipating a high need for the next long weekend. It's National Blood Donor Week, and Blood Services is hoping new and regular donors will make an appointment. Less than 2% of the population donates blood. Here in Newfoundland and Labrador, that means more than 2,000 new donors are needed to meet the hospital demand.
Anytime there's a holiday, the demand for blood increases. If somebody is injured in a car crash, they may require up to 50 units of blood. Seconds count when somebody's life is on the line. The patient would automatically be given O-negative blood. So it's a little bit higher in demand, but we need all blood types every single day of the year.
The Sheshatshiu Innu First Nation held a grand opening today for a new facility, a place for Innu elders in need of support. Heidi Adder has more on the Heart Haven Personal Care Home.
Decades of work led to this moment. The Heart Haven Personal Care Home held its grand opening yesterday. Dozens of people from the community gathered in the common area to see it for the first time.
I'm very, very happy today. My heart is just full of joy and happiness and proudness because I've worked many, many years for this building through government negotiations and trying to get the building and stuff. And it's a dream come true for me.
It's been 26 years of work and advocacy by Pia Benuin and others. The home will welcome 12 people. Some are Innu elders, some are people with disabilities or injuries who need some personal care. Pia Benuin says in the past, elders had to leave the community away from their family and their language. But this home will be different, with staff fluent in Innu on each shift.
The community of Shehajit have always wanted a place for our elders. Our elders are very sacred and very special people, and we all love our elders, and we would look after them really, really good and respect them in any way.
Outgoing Chief Eugene Hart says the name was a surprise and not his recommendation.
It was touching, but I didn't want the community to think this was my idea. It's not my idea. I didn't even know this was coming.
The health center that is now working to hire staff, and they hope to begin welcoming new residents this summer. Heidi Adder, CBC News, Shaji, Innu First Nation.
The City of St. John's is changing its tune, taking steps to embrace ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft, which historically have not been permitted to operate here. Yesterday, we asked for your thoughts on that story. John wrote to Here and Now and said, in part, I drove for Jiffy for a few years. I no longer drive because the earnings are insufficient. The combination of income taxes, HST, and OAS GIS clawbacks were out of this world. One item that has not been addressed is the second major expense for cab owners, liability insurance. Will the City of St. John's pick up the tab for the first victim of a major accident in an underinsured Uber? And Mark writes, I don't go out and spend money anymore because it costs way too much for a cab from Paradise to downtown and back. And if I was to go out, I have a big worry that I won't get home because the cab companies around here are not reliable. I used Uber recently on a trip and it was very enjoyable, quick, easy, cost-effective, and I could see the status of my cab. I really hope they do this.
Here's one more. Yvonne writes, I question why we need Uber when the issue seems to be the cost of insurance for our local taxi cab companies. If that's fixed, then won't that allow the local companies to afford to hire more drivers? I would rather my money go to local companies than a company in the U.S. that frankly doesn't have a great reputation for how they treat and pay their drivers.
So that was just some of the feedback we received. Thanks so much to everyone for sending those thoughts in.
For some, it's a reminder of history. For others, it's honoring the wrong person.
I'll tell you, the people on d'Iberville Street should be outraged.
I have all about the dispute around Carboneer's d'Iberville Street coming up.
Well, we've got some showers and thunderstorms working their way across the island at the moment. It's going to be a little rainy for some of us this weekend, not nearly as wet as last weekend. I'll get into all the details when I come back.
A Carbonear resident wants a name change, not for himself or his town, but for a certain street named after someone he feels should not be celebrated. As Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports, he wants to see his community come on side.
To name a street after somebody who murdered 600 people, I don't think is fair. What was right 10, 15, 20 years ago perhaps was okay, but society has changed.
Any name of a street has some kind of historical value to it.
Two sides of an argument. The point of contention, the name of this street in Carbonear.
The people on d'Iberville Street should be outraged. I don't live here, but I live here in Carbonear. And because of the fact that I live here in Carbonear, I'm outraged.
In 2011, the Carbonear Heritage Society was asked to provide a list of historical figures, options for street names in a new subdivision. One of them, Pierre Lemoine d'Iberville, who came to Newfoundland during the Anglo-French War, tasked to destroy every English settlement on the island.
Carbonear Island was the only spot in Newfoundland that didn't get overtaken by the French. And of course, this was led by d'Iberville. And he attempted several times to capture Carbonear. He managed to capture the town itself, but the island, the residents went to the island and they defended off the repeated attacks.
For power, reason enough not to name a Carbonear street after d'Iberville.
I believe that there are people from this town and currently living in this town that deserve the honor more.
For Butt, it's not about honor.
That's not what we named the name for. It's a part of our history, and we can't erase history. And as Winston Churchill quoted, if you don't remember history, you are bound to repeat it.
It's been almost a year of meetings and a petition for power, yet Butt doubts it's a concern for residents.
No one from that street has actually requested the name change. There's a lot of work involved in renaming a street, not on so much on the town's perspective, but on the individual people living there, driver's license, if people have mortgages, insurance and stuff like that, that all has to be changed.
While Mayor Butt says the town will have to announce its final decision about d'Iberville Street, Power says he won't stop his quest until the residents of Carbonear tell him to. Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, Carbonear.
From sunbeams on spring coats that never get worn to outdoor fires and camping in mittens and winter caps, June is feeling more like January in parts of the province.
Yes, and we've been loving your January photos, that's for sure. Keep them coming. And Monday on the show, we'll draw for your spring survival pack, loaded with all the layers you need to keep warm in this weather.
And how about this weekend? Will folks need layers this weekend?
There is some glimmer of hope in the forecast.
Great to hear.
Some of us anyway. Let's take a look at where we're at today. It is very much January out there. 7 degrees in St. John, 6 in Bonavista. After that, a couple of days of double-digit temperatures. That was fairly nice, but that is now in the past. Temperatures towards central and the west coast, even a tad cooler. Between 11 and 13 degrees, 14 in Stephenville. And then we're looking at those single digits again up across Labrador. Nain saw a couple of centimeters this morning, in fact. Now, if I zoom out a little bit across the Maritime provinces, those temperatures are warmer by, 17, 22 degrees. And if we take a look at the pattern over the next couple of days as far as what's going to happen with these temperatures, note this onshore flow. That is why those temperatures are cooler. And pretty much as we head into Saturday, we are going to see a bit of warming through parts of central. So some of that air will edge in, but it's going to take a little while. Saturday or Sunday, definitely going to cool down. And then as we look towards next week, a little bit of a change in the pattern. Now across the island, not so much, but pay attention to what happens across Labrador. As we get into Tuesday, really starting to see that warm air move in. And northern Quebec also going to see some of that mild air, and that will generally continue as we head into Wednesday. So temperatures we're talking about are mid to high 20s as we head into midweek. Now, summer officially arrives on Wednesday, so let's see if we can get some of those summer-like temperatures for parts of the province. Definitely in Labrador, but the rest of the province, we'll see how long we have to wait. For now, we're looking at an area of low pressure offshore that is bringing all of that moisture onshore in easterly flow, hence that drizzle and fog, dense fog that's happening. There's A little bit of clearing though across parts of central Avalon, but there are a number of showers rolling through, some of these sparking some thunderstorms as well, some lightning. So along the TCH there, looking at some heavy showers moving through over the next couple of hours, and then once they head north, that should be the end of it for tonight anyway. There's some of the closer look at them. So this is where we'll likely see those thunderstorms, but we could see the potential pretty much all the way back to Green Bay, White Bay as we head through the next couple of hours, but then after that risk is done, we're pretty much done with the risk of thunderstorms for the next couple of days. Current temperatures down to 6 in St. John's, 13 still in Badger at the moment, and the temperatures across Labrador are somewhere between 1 and 9, the warmest in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and really it's going to stay fairly chilly as we head through the next couple of days. Tonight, your forecast will dip, not very much from where you are now, but between 4 and about 9 degrees is the overnight lows. Winds generally are the southeast, 10 to 15. But that area of low pressure bringing northeasterly winds to those of you on the west coast and up across Labrador as well. Generally a wet evening tonight, between 1 and 6 degrees across the big land. Now, as we head through to tomorrow, through the overnight rather, there's those showers for the southeastern portion of Labrador. The island will generally stay dry. You're still looking at the potential for some drizzle and fog patches into the morning hours, but as we head into the afternoon, likely just some cloud cover. And then this is when we start to get into the potential for some clearing breaks, generally along the south coast of the island. I do think the Burin Peninsula will clear out southern Avalon as well, but we may see a few peaks of sun, hopefully in the afternoon across the rest of the Avalon as well as through parts of central. Hang on to the chance of showers. And as we head into Sunday, we're looking at some more showers moving in just in time for Father's Day along the south coast of the island. Now, as far as temperatures are concerned, tomorrow, teens for the most part. I have 18 in for St. John's. That is only if we see some cloud cover. Otherwise, those temperatures will likely hover around 15 degrees. Light winds, so that'll be nice. There you go, 7 degrees for for St. Anthony as you see your onshore flow continue. Single digits across Labrador as well. Otherwise, 15 in Lab City. Like, you are very much on the way for a warm up. I'll get into that when I come back.
Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but for this pet owner, these photos are priceless. Coming up, we'll tell you about a celebration of life photo shoot. We have a bittersweet story to share with you now about honoring the life of a loved one, your pet. Kayla Fowler, a photographer in CBS, offers a special service. It's free, and it's specifically for those with pets nearing the end of their life. So you're about to meet Maverick. Today, we joined him, Kayla, as well as Maverick's best friend, Samantha, for his final photo shoot.
Our relationship, we're best friends. Like, I don't know what I'll do without him. But I like to say I'm his best friend. When the vet did tell me that he has cancer and potentially only had a couple weeks left to live, I was like, you know what? I don't have many pictures of Maverick. So I know we have lots of pictures of Maverick, but not just him, me. It's always him, me, and his siblings. So me and my mom came out and I messaged her. She was like, yeah, like, we're doing it.
And she reached out to me and explained what was going on. I was like, absolutely, I'm there. Let's take some photos of him. So we did the photos, and at the end of it, Sam was like, okay, how much? I'm like, nothing. And she was like, yes, no, just go away. Go with your dog. It's free. To me, it's priceless.
Got here, we did it. I was in the snow. We had fun. He was being a goof, loves his treats. To spend as much time with him as possible in the next coming weeks. That was 3 months ago. So I'm lucky to have him still here 3 months later, thinking he only had a few weeks left to live. But as the months and the weeks go on, he is getting harder to get up off the floor. You know, things are happening. It's hard. Like, I mean, it's kind of anybody who's ever dealt with anything with like cancer or anything like that. It's difficult to hear and then having to watch it. You are waiting for the ball to drop when it's going to happen. But no, just take every day as a blessing. And we say he's on borrowed time, but you know, we take every day and just love every moment. Until that day he tells me, Mom, I've had enough, will be the day, right? And then she told me that it was free, and I was like, no, like, not happening. And she was like, yep, no, it's free. I was like, Kayla. She's like, he's my boy. We're doing it. So to say that it's a heartwarming thing it will forever be in my heart. I try not to think about the end, because honestly, if you do, it's draining. So, you know, I tell him I love him before I go to work. He comes to bed with me. I take every moment like it's this last. So, but I try not to think about it because, you know.
And working in an area where like I deal with animals a lot and I hear about, you know, the crossing of the Rainbow Bridge and all that, it hurts my heart. So I wanted to offer one last memorable moment to families going through this stage. I have an 8-year-old German Shepherd mix named Riley at home, and I have hundreds upon hundreds of photos of her on my phone. And I look back at those and I'm like, okay, yeah, like they're cute, but they're not, to me, they're not wall worthy, if that makes sense.
You could charge people for it.
I could, but I just don't want to. And I know the euthanasia cost and say the crematorial costs, all that adds up. So I don't want to add another $120 on top of it just to get a nice photo of your dog, you know what I mean? I'd rather you come to me and I'll do them and that'll be that.
Do you get anything out of it?
I get happiness. I really do, especially when I send the album at the end of the day or the end of the week whenever the clients get their photos back. I sent out 2 albums last night and both owners wrote me back and were like, I appreciate you so much. These photos are beautiful. And you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy with that. That to me is the best ever.
Thanks so much to Kayla and Samantha for inviting us along on that photo shoot. Okay, so after that story, I think we could all use a good chuckle. Since Father's Day is coming up on Sunday, our colleagues at the St. John's Morning Show asked listeners to send in their best dad jokes. The cornier, the better. So we had some of our dads here at CBC deliver your comedy gold. Enjoy.
I'm Anthony Germain, dad to Ainsley, Jonathan, Abby, and the last one, Alex, last but not least. Dad jokes. This comes from 7-year-old Novin, and Novin's joke is, why does the dog want to stay in the shade on a hot day? Answer: because he doesn't want to become a hot dog.
Hi, I'm Mark Quinn, and I've got a January appropriate joke, seeing as it's been so cold and might snow anytime soon. What did one snowman say to the other snowman? Do you smell carrots?
Hi, my name is Todd O'Brien. I'm the father of Navan, and these next jokes were sent to us by Jack Gullidge of Paradise. When I hear a joke about paper, never mind. It's terrible.
Hi, I'm Zach Gowdy, dad to Chesley and Tristan. And here's a dad joke for you, sent to us by John. What did the teacher do with the student's paper on the history of cheese? She graded it!
Hi, I'm Peter Gullidge, dad to Emily, Noah, granddad to Theo. These jokes come from Tim Harper. Why does a milking stool only have 3 legs? Because the cow has the udder.
What do a tick and the Eiffel Tower share in common? They're both parasites.
How does a penguin build its house? He glues it together.
And this one was sent to us by Leo. What do you call a person that's all nose and no body? Nobody knows!
Did you hear about the belt that got arrested? It held up a pair of pants.
This from Mary. Mary's joke: what do you call a bee born in May? A maybe. And I have a dad joke of my own to share with you. My wife sent me to the pharmacy to get her a lipstick, and I bought a glue stick by mistake, and she hasn't spoken to me since.
I thought this was a really wonderful opportunity to, I guess, let people have a bit of that fun too. You know, see themselves in it and maybe take their own images and make their own self-portraits.
We'll find out about an enchanting new art exhibit at the Rooms. That's coming up. new exhibit at the Room's Provincial Art Gallery is inviting visitors to peer into the enchanted world of fairies. It's called Other Side, and one St. John's visual artist is using the fairy lore in the exhibit to explore the queer experience. Have a look.
A lot of my practice has to do with self-portraiture, where I hide myself or obscure myself. And I thought this was a really wonderful opportunity to, I guess, let people have a bit of that fun too. You know, see themselves in it and maybe take their own images and make their own self-portraits. Other Side is an exploration of queerness and using the fairy, the Newfoundland fairy, as a parable for queer experience. If you go way back and you look at, the origins of what the fairy is an angel that's been cast out of heaven. So it's kind of like the original other, the perfect parable for queer experience. So in Newfoundland folklore, the fairy is a figure that is something that can explain everything that's strange between people and strange within nature. It was really an effort to try and create an artwork about queer experience that is welcoming to everyone. I wanted to create a space that's inviting, that's familiar, but also strange, and a bit fun. So it's a way for people to, I think, see themselves within something that maybe they don't know. There's a lot of fun little elements in here. A lot of them are plucked from fairy stories. So you'll find things like buttons, yarn, little bits and bobs, and these are all things that were said to come out of a wound if you were struck by a fairy. You'll also find different things that are very personal and important to me. So you'll find things like a little crystal spider, you'll find elements of my clothing, and you'll find all of these different little things that I think not only speak to fairy folklore, but also who I am as a person, because ultimately I think this body of work is a self-portrait. Growing up, the word fairy was used as an insult towards me and people like me. And as an artist, I'm really interested in the quiet moments between people where eye contact kind of says a lot more than words could. So I used the fairy as a way to conjure a queer space where people can catch a glimpse into the unseen world and where the word fairy is maybe not quite so negative. I'm Nicholas Aiden. I'm a visual artist here in St. John's, and I have a new exhibition opening at the Rooms, Other Side. It's open from June 16th to September 4th. I hope you can come by and see Other Side.
Life in the small Manitoba city of Dauphin may never be the same after one of the worst highway accidents in Canadian history. Families of the 15 seniors who died in yesterday's crash are reeling. Today, police are studying the site to determine whether it was an accident or a crime, while the city rallies for the 10 injured who remain in hospital. Aaron Collins has more.
This stretch of highway just north of Carberry, Manitoba tells its own story. From the skid marks on the ground to the stop sign knocked down onto the area where one of the deadliest crashes in Canadian history came to a fiery end. Investigators here still working to uncover just how the unthinkable could have happened. The debris gone now, a key to understanding this tragic tale. A bus carrying seniors to a nearby casino struck by an eastbound semi while crossing the number 1 highway, killing 15 people, sending 10 more to hospital. The Mounties here know what happened here on the Trans-Canada Highway late Thursday morning. Now they're trying to piece together just how this crash unfolded and whether this is simply the site of an unthinkable tragedy or if it's also a crime scene.
Even at the outset of an investigation such as this, we need to be alive to the fact that there could be wrongdoing. And if so, there could be a criminal element to this investigation.
Of course, no matter how this crash came about, the real impact of it is felt here in Dauphin. The seniors who died or were hurt in the crash are from this area. This community reeling from the people they know they've lost and those whose fate remains unclear.
As information came in, obviously we were concerned first and foremost of any accident. And then when we found out that it was some people from our community, a heightened level of concern. And then an even higher level of concern once we learned the number of people that were involved and the severity of the accident.
10 people injured in the crash remain in hospital in Winnipeg and Brandon. They range in age from the early 60s to the late 80s.
We have a total of 6 patients in critical care at the Health Sciences Centre with severe injuries. A number have received operations and more operations are planned, but these injuries are quite significant.
Of the victims still in hospital injured in this crash, 6 are in critical care, 4 more are in a surgical unit. The final toll of this tragedy yet to be determined. Aaron Collins, CBC News near Carberry, Manitoba.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke about the tragedy earlier today from Montreal.
I want to express all my deepest sympathies and condolences to the people of Carberry, Manitoba, and the folks who have lost loved ones, who are living through moments of tremendous anguish right now. I think of the people who are in hospital now with injuries. I can't imagine what these families are going through. It, of course, brings back memories of other terrible incidents like in Humboldt, Saskatchewan.
The Prime Minister says the flag on top of Ottawa's Peace Tower will be at half-mast in honor of the crash victims. It's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy 60th anniversary to Mervyn and Lorraine Rideout of Grand Falls, Windsor. Anniversary greetings going out to Bruce and Bernice Hewlett of Southbrook. It's their 57th anniversary. Wishing Melvin and Maxine Short of Deer Lake a happy 50th anniversary. Happy 50th wedding anniversary also to Barry and Christine Gray of Upper Gullies. Another golden anniversary, Gary and Judy Brown are celebrating their 50th today. Happy anniversary to Tom and Margie Stamp. They are marking 60 years of marriage. Congratulations to George and Catherine Marshall of Dunnville, who are celebrating their 54th anniversary. Best wishes to Bernadette and Francis Walsh in Paradise, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary today to Wayne and Kathleen Harvey. Congratulations to Reg and Lola Leonard of Long Pond, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Wishing Eric and Ada Evely a happy 61st anniversary today. Anniversary greetings going out to Steve and Joan Hilliard on their 50th anniversary. Happy 68th anniversary to Donald and Sybil Noble of Victoria Cove, Gander Bay. Happy 91st birthday today to Percy and Diane Chater of Glenwood. Happy 56th anniversary tomorrow to Ron and Patsy Doyle of Petty Harbor, Maddox Cove. Congratulations to Calvin and Evelyn Russell of Bay Roberts on their 55th wedding anniversary. Now to some birthdays. Wishing Harvey Gale a happy 91st birthday. He's from Pollard's Point and now lives in Deer Lake. Birthday greetings to Rowena Mercer of Grand Falls, Windsor, who just turned 98. Happy birthday to Bert Short, who is celebrating his 91st birthday. Wishing Jessie Humber a happy 91st birthday as well. She's in Corner Brook. Best wishes to Frank Keats of Buckins Junction, who is celebrating his 94th birthday. Happy 91st birthday to Roma Rideout of Goulds. Happy 96th birthday to Ruby Skinner of St. Philip's. Wishing Angela Chidley a happy 90th birthday. She's from Renews and now lives in Witless Bay. Marie Sullivan of Calvert is celebrating her 102nd birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday. Happy 93rd birthday to Teresa Dobbin of Port Saunders. Birthday greetings going out to Mary King from Balleen. She's celebrating her 95th. Wishing Lucy Farrell a happy birthday. She turns 101 tomorrow. And happy 103rd birthday to Lizzie Miles of Gambo, now living in Botwood. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. And speaking of birthdays and anniversaries, Ashley, it's a big day according to Stats Canada.
Yep, they estimate that around 4:30 Island time today, Canada hit a milestone. Our population hit 40 million people.
Wow. Stats Canada calls it the fastest growth rate since the post-war baby boom. So that's
very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay, so looking ahead to the weekend, and it's Father's Day on Sunday. How's the weather looking for that?
I mean, if you're in Labrador, it is going to be a beautiful day. Everywhere else, not so much. Let's take a look at your Father's Day forecast for your Sunday. So 17 degrees in Lab City, excuse me, and 14 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So definitely some heat out there, but as you head towards coastal areas of Labrador, it'll stay in the single digits. However, that sunshine will feel nice. And Northern Peninsula, you will also see lots of sunshine, but a different story for the rest of the island, essentially through central, eastern, and along southern areas. We are looking at the potential for some showers that will move through a little bit of a low skirts just to the east, it looks like, and along south coast of the island, you're looking between 13, 14 degrees and cloudy. Maybe a few peaks of sun for the west coast as your temperature hovers around 12 degrees. So as we look ahead into the evening hours, there's that area of low pressure. It's going to bring some more showers on the way for Monday, so a rainy day. Quiet up across Labrador. In fact, you'll even see some more sunny skies through the day. But temperatures are going to rebound just a little bit, so between 9, 10, even 11 degrees for the island. Labrador, though, this is when you're going to start to get into some of the warmer air. So 21 degrees for Lab City through the day on Monday. Nice start to the week. Happy Valley Goose Bay, 18, and then between 10 and 12 towards the coast as well. But again, lots of sunshine in the forecast for you. Now, the long-range forecast, again, summer arrives officially on Wednesday. looks like we're not going to see that 20-degree mark yet either. The latest in recent memory anyway was June 22nd. So that puts us on Thursday. Let's see if that happens. Anyway, at this point, this is the long range forecast. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, some showers. Same thing for Wednesday, although it does look like we should see some clearing, which will allow that temperature to climb up to about 15 degrees, it looks like at this point. Now, for central Newfoundland, your temperatures will be warming. 20 degrees for your Wednesday. Same thing for western Newfoundland. Overnight lows will hover into the teens there, low teens for central Newfoundland, and about 12 degrees for the west. And again, Monday, Tuesday, before we get there, will be a bit wet. And then for eastern Labrador, you're looking at lots of sunshine. Temperatures climbing into the mid-teens by the time we get into midweek, but we are looking at the chance of some showers for your Wednesday for both eastern and western Labrador. Another gray, foggy day. Leaving a pretty dramatic photo here. This is Mundy Pond, and Diane shared this lovely shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, there's a Facebook page, my Twitter, or you can email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca. I'm sure you'll have lots of photos from this weekend.
Yes, and
enjoying some time with your dad.
And send us in some of those photos for our January contest as well.
That too. Monday, we'll give that away. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, well, that's it for us on this Friday evening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.